She was at a party and separated from her friends, and that's when her interaction with Araiza began.
Some evidence today, some additional evidence, which I won't go into details about, that definitely shows she was telling people at the party she was 18. Numerous witnesses have told my private investigator that Matt Araiza was not inside the house that night.
The moment we got this update, I ran home from the gym to make you guys this video as soon as I possibly could. Partially because a lot of you tagged me on Twitter and on Instagram saying, Mike, make this update ASAP, especially given what I was saying about this young man prior to this latest information. And also, this subject is very near and dear to my heart, primarily because of the situation that my life was in when I made part 1 of this video. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been around for that long, but if you have, you guys go to part 1 and see the way I looked back then. I'm sure you could connect the dots. Currently, I'm doing a follow-up in checking into that situation, so fingers crossed. My scan is this week, but anyways, I don't mean to reminisce about a very unfortunate point in my life. What I'm trying to say is this is a very important subject to me. So we're gonna bring you this update. We're gonna be as unbiased as we possibly can. I'm gonna hold myself accountable for what I said in the past, and of course, before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. We're almost at 700,000 subscribers, and now that we get all that out of the way, break. Can I be honest for a second? The one thing that changed sports for me forever is Prize Picks. Just having a little extra action on the game has made watching games so much more enjoyable, and I've actually been using this to get into other sports as well. A lot of you have DM'd me the amount of money that you guys are making off of Prize Picks, and I post my picks onto my Instagram story every single day. And right now, if you use my promo code Mikerophone, they'll match your first deposit up to $100. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? During the 2022 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills decided to make a very bold decision, a decision that is very rare in today's NFL. They decided to use one of their draft picks, their 6th round pick, on a punter, but not just any punter. This young man was referred to as the punt god, and his name is Matt Araiza. I understand selecting a punter with a draft pick is far from the most exciting pick that you can make, but you have to understand, in the NFL, if you could get yourself a kid that consistently pin your opponent within the 5 to 10 yard line and make your opponent have to drive 90 yards to the end zone in order to score a touchdown, then clearly in a game of yards and inches, you have a distinct advantage. Matt Araiza seemed to be that human being that could give the Buffalo Bills said advantage. As a matter of fact, the Bills were so confident in this young man that they decided to sever ties with their existing punter, Matt Hawk. Things seem to be going very well. After all, being a punter and making it into the NFL, representing one of those 32 teams in the NFL, is already a long shot, but to be selected in the NFL draft and representing a team that had Super Bowl aspirations is a different story in of itself. One hell of an achievement. There is only one dark side to this whole story. Buffalo Bills reportedly were made aware, and some other teams were also made aware, that there were some allegations surrounding Matt Araiza from the year of 2021, 1 year prior, during his final year at SDSU. As a matter of fact, according to the Associated Press, executives from 2 different teams said that they became aware of Araiza's involvement in an incident during the draft process, but neither person knew the extent of the allegations. Both people said it didn't impact Araiza's status on their draft board because they weren't interested in selecting a punter. Executives from 3 other teams said they had no knowledge of the allegations against Araiza before the draft and only learned of the incident recently when it came out. All of the people spoke to the AP on the condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of this situation. And yeah, it is a very sensitive situation when you consider what would end up happening to Matt Araiza. But throughout the summer of 2022, things seem to have been going swell for Matt Araiza. After all, he just got drafted to a team with Super Bowl aspirations until the report came out from the Los Angeles Times. The title of the article was NFL punter Matt Araiza and 2 San Diego State football players were accused in a lawsuit involving sexual assault. The allegations stated that a high school senior female who goes by the name of Jane Doe went in and out of consciousness, but remember moments as men took turns assaulting her. So the accusations involved Matt Araiza sleeping with the minor without her consent. There were 2 other men also named in these allegations, one being Xavier Leonard and the other being Nowlin Iwaliko. At the time, Araiza's lawyer obviously called these allegations false and said that this was a shakedown because he is now with the Buffalo Bills. But what was really sketchy, and to be honest, what really skewed my perception of the situation. And the one thing that I thought was very shady was the fact that San Diego State received the complaint the week of the incident, but they didn't decide to alert the campus community about the alleged gang and waited more than 7 months to launch its own investigation. Campus officials have also said that the police asked them not to take any action that would compromise their investigation and that they were not required by federal law to send out a crime notification. After the Times reports, San Diego State officials began posting some information about the October incident on the campus website. So pretty much, the campus was made aware of this situation. The college knew, they just decided not to do anything until college football season ended, conveniently. And to be honest, this is what skewed my perception of the entire situation. The university would then launch a Title IX investigation in the summer of 2022 after the city police department notified the school that doing so would not jeopardize the criminal inquiry. Title IX is the federal law that prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex at federally funded educational institutions. And Araiza and Iwaliko would not have to comply with the campus investigation because they are no longer at the school. That's what I thought was probably the shadiest part of this entire situation. Now, the Buffalo Bills would release a statement on this because this would come out in the summertime, saying that we were recently made aware of a civil complaint involving Matt from October of 2021. Due to the serious nature of the complaint, we conduct a thorough examination of this matter. As this is an ongoing civil case, we'll have no other comment at this point. Now, I think context is very important in this particular situation because the NFL was just recovering from one of the most intense investigations into one of its star players, a player that had tremendous marketing potential and who could have been the face of the NFL in Deshaun Watson. And unfortunately, given what happened with Deshaun Watson, they were clearly really sensitive to reports like this at the time. When you also factor in the fact that Deshaun Watson is a quarterback who is a transcendent QB, by the way, who just got paid millions of dollars. I mean, the only fully guaranteed quarterback contract in the entire NFL, who happens to be black, by the way, so I'm sure there might be some human beings that include Deshaun Watson's race in the whole story. I'm not going to be one of those humans. And then you get this white punter who got drafted in the 6th round of the NFL draft, who has these allegations come out about him. The NFL and the Buffalo Bills probably were traumatized and didn't want to touch this with a 6-foot pole. Rightfully so, it seemed like he was too much of a risk at this point. They tried to do an investigation, but clearly the story blew up, and as a result, the Buffalo Bills had to release Matt Araiza. Now, I want you guys to know that at the time, the one thing that really skewed my perception of the story was the way the initial investigation was done by San Diego State University, and that honestly should have been more of a reflection upon the university as opposed to Matt himself. Based upon all the information I gathered at the time, based upon all my research at the time, I thought the man did it. I called him a scumbag, I called him a horrible human being, and I am gonna hold myself accountable. I got it wrong. I'm not necessarily a part of cancel culture or the woke mob or a guy that doesn't like forgiving people. It just seemed like all the allegations that were made towards him really painted a picture that I just couldn't see a possible way that he didn't do it. And that's on me. I don't necessarily always get the story right. I do my best to do all my research and bring you guys all the information as complete as possible. I may have jumped the gun on the conclusion of that one. And for that, I want to apologize. I'm not always going to get it right, guys. I'm going to do my best to get it right. I don't have some sort of agenda. I mean, in the Michael Irvin situation, to me, there's allegations on Michael Irvin. If you guys didn't catch our video on that, I highly recommend you do so. In that particular situation, it looked like Michael Irvin was innocent to me. And maybe I'm wrong about that. But as you guys could see, in this particular case, I thought Matt Araiza was guilty. In that particular case, I thought Michael Irvin was innocent. I'm not necessarily the guy that is always going to side with the victim each and every time. It really depends on the evidence that is presented to me. So of course, before we get to this update that completely changes everything about this story, I have to give Matt Araiza a huge apology because it seems like we have some information that changes everything. It's important to note that the San Diego State Aztec football team was enjoying one of its best seasons in years, so I guess they were trying to protect that. And as time would go on, we would get some pretty interesting details about the situation outside of the Los Angeles Times. For instance, in December 7th of 2022, the latest update was no charges were filed against him or ex-teammates in the SDSU case. The article suggested that former Buffalo Bills punter Matt Araiza and former teammates on the San Diego State University football team will not face criminal charges in connection with the allegations of gang rape of a minor that occurred at an off-campus party in October of 2021. Ultimately, prosecutors determined it is clear the evidence does not support the filing of criminal charges and there is no path to a potential criminal conviction, the district attorney's office said in a statement. Prosecutors can only file charges when they ethically believe they can be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And the DA's office said that the San Diego Police Department did not recommend charges be filed when the case was submitted in early August, and that a civil suit remained ongoing. Now, again, holding myself fully accountable for my original takes, I made an update video on this. In that update video, I said, well, duh, there's never going to be enough evidence to sufficiently prove that Matt Araiza actually did what he's being accused of. I mean, just look at Deshaun Watson. Look at how many people came out against him and made those allegations against him. There was a significant amount of human beings that alleged that Deshaun Watson did some sketchy stuff in the middle of his massages. At the end of the day, all they could do was file a civil suit, and Deshaun Watson would not have any criminal charges filed against him. Now, I'm not saying he should have, I'm not saying he shouldn't have, I'm just saying what it was. And the basis of that case is how I formulated my conclusion in the second video that I made on this situation. So at this point, Matt Araiza lost his dream job. The Buffalo Bills did not want to touch him given the situation that was going on. And he was a free agent, and there was some sad stuff coming out about him as well. And I could only imagine how mortifying it was, assuming that he did not do any of this stuff at all whatsoever, because there's a point where he actually signed with a Mexican football team, apparently, and the team even tweeted this out saying, "Welcome Matt Araiza." My man was about to go and play in Tijuana for a season, but eventually they decided to pull that because there was a lot of hope suggesting that Matt Araiza will eventually get an opportunity in the NFL. And given the information we have now, it makes sense why he was so optimistic. So according to Dan Wetzel of Yahoo Sports, and bear in mind, this is being tweeted out by some fairly reputable human beings. I first found out about it from JPA Football, but of course Ari Meirov has also tweeted this out. The article is titled "Prosecutors Former Bills Punter Matt Araiza Wasn't Present During the Alleged Gang." A recently released 200-plus page transcript details exculpatory evidence in the case versus Matt Araiza. The article opens up by saying, last August, just days after earning the starting job as the Buffalo Bills punter, rookie Matt Araiza was the subject of a civil lawsuit alleging that he and two San Diego State football teammates participated in the gape of an intoxicated 17-year-old girl. While little was known publicly, San Diego police had spent nearly 10 months on the case before forwarding it to a district attorney without a recommendation for prosecution. The Bills said that they knew about the incident, investigated it, and decided to employ Araiza anyway. The graphic allegations in the civil lawsuit, however, created a public frenzy. It included a claim that during an October 15, 2021 party at a home near SDSU campus, Araiza led the girl into a bedroom where there were 3 other humans waiting inside. Once inside, Araiza allegedly threw the girl onto the bed face first. The girl went in and out of consciousness while suffering through the horrific gape. It lasted an hour and a half before she stumbled out of the room bloody and crying, in part because of multiple piercings had ripped through the skin during the attack. Within days, the Bills cut Araiza, who due to his record-breaking NCAA career and an 82-yard punt in a preseason game had earned the nickname Punt God. At the time, Brandon Beane said that we just think it's best for everyone to move on from Matt and let him take care of the situation.
But at this time, we just think it's the best move for everyone to move on from Matt and let him take care of this situation and focus on that. So we're going to part ways there.
Araiza remains out of football despite prosecutors announcing on December 7, 2022 that after conducting their own 124-day investigation that they wouldn't press any criminal charges in the case. However, few details, let alone their reasoning or additional exculpatory evidence, was included in the initial statement. A fuller picture of what police and prosecutors found, however, is now available via a 200-plus page transcript of a 100-minute meeting obtained by Yahoo Sports, where a deputy district attorney offered a detailed explanation to the girl and her attorneys. Perhaps most notably, the district attorney's office concluded Araiza couldn't have led the girl into the alleged gape because he had left the home at about 12:30 a.m., an hour prior to when evidence suggested the alleged gape would have occurred. He wasn't even at the party anymore, Deputy District Attorney Trisha Amador explained to the girl. Later, Amador stated the timeline of events. All I know is that at that point, suspect Araiza is gone from the party. Additionally, prosecutors told the girl that video recording recordings of the incident in the bedroom made it impossible to determine, let alone prosecute anyone, on whether there was a gape at all that night, rather than consensual sex with the other men. And looking at the videos on the tape, I absolutely cannot prove any forcible assault based upon what had happened. The accuser's attorney, Dan Gillian, could not immediately be reached for comment. For Araiza, the most powerful evidence came from a number of short videos of the encounter between the girl and 2 or 3 men in the bedroom. Timestamps showed that it had occurred about 1:30 a.m., citing a witness and other information. Prosecutors concluded that Araiza had left the party at 12:30 a.m., Amador explained to the plaintiff. The lawsuit additionally alleged that Araiza knew or should have known the girl was only 17 years old and that she was heavily intoxicated. The girl and some other high school friends became aware a party was being thrown at the house just a few blocks from the SDSU campus. The group led themselves in through a back gate. Witness interviews from the party, including 2 of the girl's own friends whom she arrived with, said that she didn't appear to be drunk at the time. Other witnesses said that the girl was telling people that she was 18. A witness who was in the house gave a statement saying that at least one point in the party that you made a statement telling people at the party that you were 18. Another witness at the party, a different one, says that they specifically heard you say that you were 18. There was additional evidence cited by Amador from a recording during a party the night before at a different residence where the girl says on camera that she is 18. So they pretty much have this girl in 4K from a different party the night before saying,
"Hey, by the way, I'm 18.
To be honest, I'm not a girl. This is something I was guilty of doing when I was 17. I mean, I would try to lie about my age because, well, if you lie about your age, you could get opportunities that you would otherwise be deemed too young to be involved in. I'm not necessarily going to say the context of the situation, but I'm sure I'm not the only human being guilty of this. And I'm not necessarily faulting the girl for doing this because at the same time, she's a young woman and we all make mistakes. I'm not ever going to say, hey, you shouldn't have lied about your age to get specific benefits. I'm not encouraging it either. What I'm trying to say is I could understand why she did what she did. Now, this gets even crazier. The civil lawsuit alleged that soon after the girl's arrival at the party, she was separated from her friends and Araiza led her over to the side yard of the house where he told her to perform against her consent. Araiza, however, has always maintained that he never led her into a private area of the backyard and that she walked back there while he was urinating. Witness testimony, again including the girl's friends, played a role in prosecutors declining to press charges. So pretty much this girl's friends are also saying, yo,
We can't get behind you pressing charges against this guy."
the witnesses say that shortly after you arrived at the party, you left and came back shortly thereafter, and you told a friend, I just had and you didn't appear unhappy. You appeared to be having fun and that the encounter on the side of the house with Matt's suspect Araiza was consensual. So even if this did happen, it seemed like the young woman was very happy about the experience allegedly. At least that's what this article is trying to indicate. While the civil lawsuit claimed that right after the Araiza encounter in the side yard, the football player led her into the bedroom in the house, the timeline established by authorities was much different. Prosecutors said that shortly after being with Araiza, witnesses said the girl again left her group and came back to report she had sex with a different man. Again, prosecutors explained, witnesses suggested that it was consensual. The transcript reads that you had returned and then came back and said that you had sex with a guy. This would have been the second person that would have been in the progression of the evening. Again, you're described as being okay, not scared or distraught. You seemed happy and it seemed consensual. Oh my God, this is crazy. I mean, this part of the report just completely changes the story. This is like every man's worst nightmare, by the way. Like, this is every human being's worst nightmare. A woman sneaking into a party, allegedly, at least this is what this side of the story is claiming. She sneaks into the party. She seems very happy to be there. She's lying about her age. She's running through different guys. She's high-fiving her friends about the achievements that she is making at these parties. And then at the very end of it, she's saying stuff like this. Like, look at this article from September of 2022. Woman accusing Araiza of says she can't stop thinking about the assault. Dude, that is just terrifying. I'm not even a football player like Araiza. I don't even think I'm up there in the hierarchy of people that they would try to sabotage. As a regular human being, as a regular man, this is terrifying. And the thing that's bothering me the most is how I was so quick to jump to thinking that Araiza actually did all these things. Now, we're not done yet. It gets even crazier. Again, you're not intoxicated at this point that anybody would know your intoxication level to the point that they would not be able to tell that you weren't able to give consent. The timeline prosecutors pieced together suggested that this encounter occurred at about 12:55 a.m., about a half hour after Araiza had left the house. This incident occurred on a living room sofa with one of the football players who was also named in the civil lawsuit. Parts of this encounter were filmed on a cell phone. Prosecutors said the footage from the cell phone did not suggest any forced behavior. There's nothing in the videos that sound like you're saying stop or this hurts or anything like that, said Ted Manser, an investigator for the San Diego County District Attorney's Office, said at the meeting. The prosecutors offered to show the girl and her lawyers all of the videos they culled from cell phones. The girl watched one during the meeting before deciding that was enough. None of the lawyers in the civil case or Araiza himself have seen the videos because they involve sex with an underage girl. Araiza's legal team is trying to acquire the videos through a court order as a way to defend himself against the allegations. Prosecutors also said that the videos from the bedroom show that her piercings were not ripped at the time and she was not bleeding from any wounds from it. Amador said that her behavior on the videos made prosecuting anyone for the allegations impossible. I don't see any elements of force being used in the sexual encounter. My mind is blown. I mean, wow. When the initial report came out, I'm going to admit I got it wrong. There was not a part of me that could even fathom that this would be the case. There was so much sketchiness from the way it was investigated, and that honestly threw me off. And now we're getting all of this information that makes it seem like this girl is just lying, at least based upon what this article is saying. I honestly just feel really terrible about the way I originally covered this. And I really want to give a heartfelt apology. I mean, to Matt Araiza, to you guys. There was so many people that viewed that video and maybe I skewed their opinion on the matter. And wow, I mean, I honestly don't even know what to say. A part of me feels very ashamed of myself for not really doing my homework and just getting duped this way. At the same time, I know that I need to be a little bit more careful in analyzing sensitive cases like this. I'm glad I used the word alleged a bunch, but I want to apologize to you guys for getting the original information wrong. I'm really sorry. It really made it seem like a particular way. I interpreted the situation incorrectly clearly. I'm happy that the truth came out and Matt Araiza's life isn't being ruined. It really seems very likely that he is going to have a career in the NFL. And I guess as men, we got to take a lesson from this, because this woman just did it for no reason. I mean, I guess maybe for money. I'm not necessarily sure, but this is actually terrifying. At the end of the day, I'm glad that the truth got out. I'm a little shaken at the fact that I botched it to this extent. So again, I'm very sorry that I messed up. I'm gonna make sure I do everything in my power. If I still have you guys' trust, I'm gonna make sure I do everything in my power to not botch something like this again. And if I do, at the very minimum, I'll come on this channel and tell you, yo, guys, I f***ed up and I'm sorry. So again, my apologies, man. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.